Am I in the wrong for not wanting my disabled cousin at my wedding? I, 26 female, am getting married soon to my amazing fiance, Liam, 30 male, and I'm struggling with whether or not to invite my cousin, Tom, 29 male. Tom has a developmental disability, and while he's almost 30, he has the intellectual capacity of a 7-year-old. I've always tried to be patient and understanding, but he has consistently crossed physical boundaries with me in ways that make me feel really uncomfortable. I have always been an early bloomer, and I have a much larger than average chest, and because of all the sports I did in high school, and that continue to this day, I would like to say I look good. I only say this because it's the main reason that my family uses to justify Tom's behavior. Over the years, Tom has touched my chest and butt quite a few times. He's also hugged me tight and tried to kiss me, and even though I immediately told him to stop each time, it never seems to stick. He also tells all of his caretakers, nurses, and live-in caregivers that I'm his girlfriend. He also doesn't like Liam because he insists that Liam isn't my fiancé boyfriend because he's my boyfriend. Tom talks about how he will marry me. It kind of feels like when a little kid tells their parent they're going to marry them, but it's still very uncomfortable. I've brought it up with the family, but they always downplay it, saying Tom doesn't understand and that he's just showing affection. The excuse used most often is, he's a little boy in a man's body, and you're a conventionally attractive woman. When I told my mom how uncomfortable it makes me, she said I probably entertained his behavior too much and that he's harmless. She insists I should just be firm, but anytime I've tried, the family accuses me of being mean to him. With my wedding coming up, I want the day to be relaxed and special without constantly worrying about Tom overstepping boundaries. When I told my family that I was considering not inviting him, they were outraged. They said I was being unfair, cruel, and that he'd be devastated not to come. My mom even said it would ruin his day and make it obvious that he's different, which she thinks is heartless. I get that Tom can't help certain behaviors, but I feel like my family has completely ignored my feelings in this. They always brush off my discomfort and say it's my responsibility to manage it or that he doesn't know any better. But it's my wedding, and I don't want to be on edge the whole time. Liam says I have every right to not invite him, especially because of how he treats both of us like our relationship isn't real. Still, I wonder if I'm being too harsh or unkind since Tom isn't fully aware of boundaries and doesn't really know what he's doing is bad or harmful, especially because his parents and other family members encourage it. Am I in the wrong for losing it on my wife after she told my son to get out of the picture at my stepdaughter's birthday? I'm really struggling here and starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. I think I'm being gaslit and I need advice. I've been married to my wife for 8 years, and on the whole, we have a good relationship. She has 4 kids, 2 daughters, 2 sons, ages 11 through 16, from a previous relationship, and I have 1 son, who's 10. Since day one, I've treated her kids like my own and done my best to support the family. Financially, it's a big load, but I'm happy to do it. We live together in a 5-bedroom house where each of her daughters has their own room. Her oldest son has his own, and her youngest son shares a room with my son. The main issue and what's tearing me apart is how she treats my son. She barely acknowledges him, rarely asks how he's doing, and generally acts like he's invisible. Tonight, it hit a breaking point. We were celebrating her daughter's 11th birthday, and everyone was gathered to sing and take pictures. I told my son to get in with the group for a picture, which seemed fine. But then, right after the group photo, my wife looked at my son and told him, "Get out of the picture, move to the side. I want one with just my kids." I felt like my heart shattered in that moment. I completely lost it. I told her that we're supposed to be a blended family and that my son deserves to be treated like one of our own. I feel like she's drawing lines between her kids and my son, and it just doesn't sit right with me. For context, my son's biological mom passed away 2 years ago, supposedly from COVID complications, though she had a history of drug problems that may have worsened things. My son only has my wife now as a mother figure. I'm terrified that this rejection from her is going to hurt him deeply and cause psychological damage. Am I asking too much for her to treat him like part of the family? I don't want to be overreacting, but the way that she flat out ignores him is painful to witness. Am I in the wrong for telling my sister she's not allowed to bring her homemade food to Thanksgiving this year because her cooking is ruining the meal? Every year, our family does a big Thanksgiving dinner, and we all typically bring a dish or two. My sister, who's a lovely person in every other way, insists on cooking something homemade every time. The issue, she's not a great cook. And I don't mean just not great. I mean she has somehow managed to turn classic dishes into borderline inedible creations. For context, last Thanksgiving, she showed up with her special recipe stuffing that was over-seasoned with random spices like cinnamon and cardamom. It was dry and the flavors were confusing and totally off for stuffing. Only one person took a small bite and the rest went untouched. Another year, she brought a green bean casserole that had some kind of strained, chewy texture. She later admitted that she used coconut milk and almond flour to experiment. No one wanted seconds of that either. This year, I'm hosting Thanksgiving. Since I'm responsible for putting it all together, I wanted to keep the menu consistent so that people could actually enjoy a cohesive meal. I thought I'd avoid drama by asking her to bring non-food items instead, like wine, soda, or even some flowers. I explained to her, very kindly I thought, that I just wanted to make things easy and streamlined, and I'd handle the main dishes, but she didn't take it well. She got offended and told me that I was being controlling and shutting her out of the family gathering. She then accused me of making her feel inadequate and said that Thanksgiving is about everyone contributing, not me deciding what's acceptable. I told her that everyone appreciates her effort, but that she could contribute in other ways and still be part of it. She doubled down and said that she's bringing her famous green bean casserole whether I like it or not. Now, my mom and a couple of other family members have chimed in, saying I should just let her bring whatever she wants because it's Thanksgiving and it's the thought that counts. They're acting like I'm committing a huge offense by wanting the food to be enjoyable for everyone and not have random experimental dishes that no one will eat. But I feel like I'm just trying to keep the meal enjoyable and, frankly, edible. I don't think it's wrong to want guests to actually enjoy the food, especially since I'm putting in a lot of effort to host. After this, things have escalated fast. I try to compromise, but it's already turning into a whole thing and Thanksgiving is still a few weeks away. After our last conversation, my sister was being pretty cagey about what she planned to make, so I reached out to my mom, hoping that she could help smooth things over. Instead, she got defensive, saying I'm overthinking and that it's just one dish. I told her that I wasn't sure it was just one dish anymore, especially after hearing about my sister's grocery haul, including canned oysters and edible glitter. Then my mom let it slip that my sister has been hard at work at some creative menu she's planning as her Thanksgiving surprise. Apparently, she's been telling the family group chat, which I wasn't included in by the way, that I'm being controlling and that she wants to expand everyone's palate with something truly unique. To top it off, my cousin sent me a screenshot from the group chat where my sister said she's bringing not one but 3 dishes to Thanksgiving now. She's calling them her Thanksgiving trio experience, complete with their own place settings and little menu cards she's assigning. I'm officially panicking because I have no idea what she's planning to serve, and from what I've heard, it's not remotely traditional. At this point, half of the family thinks I'm overreacting, while the other half is texting me with things like, is she really bringing glittered sweet potatoes? I feel stuck. If I try to control it anymore, I'm the bad guy. But if I don't, Thanksgiving might turn into a tasting event for my sister's avant-garde cooking. So yeah, Thanksgiving is weeks away, and it's already become a family spectacle. I don't know whether to brace myself or just preemptively order pizza. What should I do? Am I in the wrong for punching my ex-husband's new girlfriend for hitting my daughter? I, 23 female, have a 6-year-old daughter. I had her at 17 years old with my ex-husband Devon. Devon and I got married at 18 and got divorced at 20 years old due to his cheating. He doesn't pay a dime to financially support our daughter. I am our daughter's full-time caretaker. My ex-husband only sees our daughter once a month. I beg him to spend more time with her, but I shouldn't have to beg him to be a father. He recently got into a relationship with his new girlfriend, Haley. Ever since Haley entered my ex-husband's life, she bashed me. She blamed me for my daughter being autistic. She said my daughter is autistic because I coddle her. I do not coddle my child. I legitimately try my best in the situation that I was dealt. My daughter was diagnosed with autism at 4 years of age. We have her in speech therapy and behavioral therapy. She has a therapist she sees twice a week. She also has developmental delays. I try to work with her every day on her speech, behavior, etc. Yesterday, my daughter went to go stay the night at her dad's house. Her dad's girlfriend, Haley, was there. She lives there now. My daughter's father called me. He told me to come over and pick up our child because she was upset. I went to go pick her up and I saw that she had red marks, welts, and bruises all over her legs. I was pissed and asked what happened. My daughter told me that she spilled water on the floor and on the couch. Haley got mad at her and hit her with the belt. I rushed into the house. I don't know what came over me. I punched Haley in the face and beat the shit out of her. I didn't even realize I did it until I saw her on the floor. Haley wanted to press charges on me, but my ex talked her out of it. I went to the police station with my daughter right after and filed a police report. I showed them the bruises, welts, and marks. I pressed charges for child abuse and reported my ex-husband to CPS for child neglect and abuse. I'm still shaken from the situation. I took photos of my daughter's arms and legs. I will never let my daughter go over to her dad's ever again. If I knew that Haley would hit my child, I wouldn't have let her go over there in the first place. Am I in the wrong for offending my sisters while explaining why I didn't want children? I, 28 female, have 4 siblings, one of them being disabled. The other 3 have kids. This is about A, 35 female, and B, 32 female. A has 4 kids, 17 female, 15 male, 14 male, 9 female. The younger 3 have severe physical and mental disabilities. B has 3, 12 male, 7 male, 2 female. The oldest and middle have the same disabilities as my older sister's children, and the younger have Down syndrome. They're both stay-at-home moms. All of the children are in disability programs my country offers, but there's not much money left, after all the medical bills of therapy and meds they need. Their husbands have okay jobs, but with the severity of their children's disabilities, it's hard to get by. On the other hand, I'm single, child-free by choice, went to university, totally debt-free, have a master's, and work from home in my dream field. Last month, I bought my first house. I invited my family and friends over for a housewarming this Saturday. I paid for 2 caretakers to take care of the children so that they could come. Everything was fine and fun until the end of the night. My friends had already gone home, and it was the 3 of us. They started talking about me settling down, marrying, having kids since I bought the house. I reminded them that I didn't want kids. This talk circulated several times until they asked me why for the 10th time. I told them, besides not really wanting to have a child, I love my freedom. I love the life that I already have. Thinking about our family DNA, there's a high chance of having a disabled child. That means more work and sacrificing. I don't want to sacrifice myself. I want to have money for hobbies, to take care of myself, for expensive clothes and hairdressers, to travel, to live, and not just survive. I love them. They're great moms, but I don't want to make the sacrifices to be the same. I would be an awful and spiteful mom, and no one deserves that. From everything I said, the only thing that they listened to was about not wanting to have a disabled child. They went on a spiral about how much of a blessing their kids are, how I'm an egotistical bitch, and so much more. They blocked me on social media and aren't answering me in the family group chat. My mom called me to give me a speech about how my disabled brother, 36 male, was a blessing in her life, how he's a gift from God, and uninvited me from Christmas because my sisters won't come if I come. I called my brother, 39. His 2 children are adopted. He admitted a long time ago this was due to the high chance of disability in our family. He told me my delivery is rude, but they also suck. They should know not everyone wants kids. He encouraged me to apologize because I know how they are. So, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for telling my parents that I didn't have a kid, they did, and they need to take care of her, not me? My parents had me, 15 female, when they were 18 and 19. They always made it so obvious they resented being parents so young, and added to that, they never try to be good parents. I typically spend most of my time at my friends' houses. I don't have extended family to rely on. They disowned my parents for having me so young, so friends' houses were a positive in my life that made me feel more comfortable than being at home with my parents. My parents never did the typical parent stuff like helping with homework or showing up to support me at school. I don't think they ever attended a parents' conference for me. They ignored a lot of stuff I needed to get signed, and I'd have to get right in their face on the last day to get signatures. My birthday and Christmas have never been a big deal or a celebration. They do celebrate their wedding anniversary, but that's a them thing. When they told me 2 years ago they were expecting a baby, it really surprised me, but then it hurt because sometimes they said stuff that made me feel like I didn't exist. Like how they were so excited to have the baby and how they couldn't wait to be parents. A friend of my mom's did remind her of me, but then she and dad said I was basically the early practice run and this was the real deal. When my sister was born, they were so attentive to her that I ceased to exist completely. I got sick and my school was trying to call someone to pick me up early, but they ignored the calls. And when I got home, they had taken the baby out for a family day. When they got home, they hadn't realized that the school had called because they turned off their phones to enjoy family time. My mom quit her job a month after my sister was born. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom and she and dad want at least one more kid. My dad leaves work early on Friday so he can spend more time with the family, mom and sister. My parents tried to have another kid for over a year and mom isn't pregnant yet, so they're jumping to fertility treatments. They told me that I need to watch my sister for a few hours every week while they attend those appointments, and they gave me this detailed list of stuff that she needs and what I'm going to do with her. I told them that I won't and that they had her so they need to take care of her because she's not my kid. My parents told me it's a few hours a week and not a huge deal. Dad told me that I need to look at it as paying back for all they did for me. I said no and told them that they don't give a crap about me, so why would I want to help them? Was I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for telling her to stop spending $45 on burgers weekly? I'm 42 and my sister-in-law 33 recently started selling burgers on Saturdays. She works 9 to 5 Monday through Friday office job with a good salary, but she recently discovered she's pregnant with her ex's baby. He's no longer in the picture, so she's selling burgers for extra income. Now, every Saturday, my wife, 40, buys burgers for our family. 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8. My issue is that my sister-in-law sells every burger for $9, so 5 burgers is $45. The burgers are tasty, don't get me wrong, but she's using my mother-in-law's recipe that my wife also knows, so I don't see why we should spend $45 weekly on burgers when my wife can make identical ones at home and we would spend less money on ingredients. To be clear, technically we can afford sister-in-law's burgers comfortably, I just don't see why we should when there are cheaper options. I tried to talk about it with my wife and she said that she mostly buys it because she wants to support her sister. I told her that it's not our job to support her sister. Besides, as I said, the burgers are tasty and every weekend they're sold out in a couple of hours, so I don't think losing our 5 burgers will put a dent in her business. Yesterday, I told my wife again that we shouldn't buy burgers, and she asked me why I cared if she was buying them from her money, not our money. We each have an account and one joint account. I told her that it's not about that. I just don't think it's sensible to spend $45 every weekend on burgers when she already knows the recipe. She said that she'll be spending $36 then, because she won't be buying mine anymore if it bothered me so much. That's exactly what she did. She brought burgers for our kids and her, and didn't buy one for me, which, okay. Anyway, I got a Big Mac for cheaper. So I thought we were okay, but she has been acting as if she's mad at me since yesterday. I fail to see why she's mad. Am I in the wrong?